Cool. So just set up this Facebook stream. Okay. Yep. Oh, I just need to put on my background. Okay. Yeah, it's just setting up the Facebook Live now, and then we will be good to go. Okay, so we are now live. So hello everybody, welcome to our PB Upskills session today. My name is Amanda Pawley and I am Deputy Editor at Professional Beauty. And today we are joined by award-winning nail tech Kirsty Meakin. I'm sure you all know who she is. And she's going to be doing a live nail art demo for us today as part of our practical skills session. She's going to be demonstrating the art of gel polish and acrylic nail art by creating a beautiful 3D acrylic flower, and she'll discuss any of the common troubleshooting issues you might face with this when doing it. So hello Kirsty, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. Hello everybody who is live with us. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my camera and my mic off, and I'm going to let Kirsty do her thing and do the demo. But obviously, as you're watching, if you do have any questions for Kirsty, if you just pop them in the comment box on Zoom or on Facebook, and what we'll do is we'll get Kirsty to answer all your burning questions at the end.
Awesome, absolutely brilliant. So
yeah, Kirsty, you just let me know when you're done, and I'll pop my camera and my mic back on.
Yeah.
Brilliant, so thank you.
It'll be lovely to answer all the questions after. So if you get any questions while I'm working, then please, ask away, jot them down. We'll get that sorted. I want you to use my mind of knowledge, and I'll give you everything I know in the next sort of 30 odd minutes. I'm just going to swap my camera so you can see my table. And the setup that I've got at the minute is the same as I've got for when I am actually teaching. So I do classes via Zoom at the minute. So that, you know what, I just love Zoom. Zoom's amazing because we get people on my classes from like all over the world. It's crazy. We try to suit a time that's, good for everybody. But we've had people up at 3 o'clock in the morning from America and Australia and all sorts. So it's been absolutely brilliant. So what I'm going to do for you today is we're going to do something that I absolutely love. So I love nail art. I mean, if you know me, you know that I just love nail art. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a nude background because I want to sort of showcase the 3D nail art. That is like the pièce de résistance. So I'm just going to go ahead because I'm working on a tip, and I use, so loads of people ask me, what do I stick my tips onto the little stand with? And I actually use this little tape. So it's like a silicone tape, double-sided. So it's not red. The red peels off and you've got a sticky sort of little bit of rubbery bit, and I pop that underneath and it sticks it really well. And I find blue tack or white tack it just doesn't work the same. This works so well and it lasts long as well. So you can actually peel the nail off and use it a few times. So we're just going to go in with a nude colour, and because I'm using a tip, I don't need to base coat it. If I was doing this on a real person, I would most definitely base coat this first. And because it's a long nail, I like to do the length first, and then I will bounce. See, I've got product in front of the brush and I will bounce it up. So imagine we've got a cuticle there and we leave like 1/2 mm gap at that cuticle area, and then we would pull down. And because we're pulling through wet gel polish, it will come through a lot more seamless. Because this is a tip, I know I can go right to the edge. But I just want you to bear in mind, if you're doing it on a real person, then that's how you want to do it. I'm going to pop that in the lamp. I'm going to do 2 coats of that so we achieve the full coverage. They are nice and pigmented. So let's give that a cure. 30 seconds. I'm also going to add a little bit of chrome flakes because I'm addicted to anything that is sparkling, like most of us are at the minute. So again, I just find it easier to do the length first when we've got a long nail, and then let's bounce up and drag through into a wet layer. You'll get a smoother application. So you see how smooth that is. You can see the light shining. There's no bubbles. So it's a good tip of how to actually reduce those bubbles. So when it comes to putting on your chrome flakes, you can burnish them into a no white top coat. But what I like to do is I like to place them exactly where I want them. So I want a sticky layer. So with that sticky layer, we're going to get that from using a base coat. So basically, I'm just going to base coat this one and I'll show you quickly. So I'm going to go quite thin with this. So you can see I'm holding my brush quite high as I apply it. So you see the brush bends and it actually takes off any excess. So I want it super, super thin. The other way to do it is obviously use the sticky layer from the gel polish. So I'll show you how on this one. So this has got the sticky layer from the gel polish. I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and pick up those little particles. And I'm going to place them where I want them. They are very floaty, so you'll always get like a little bit of a scattered effect, which I love. And I'm going to pull this through here sort of diagonally to draw the eye up the nail. And then I'm flattening those particles. Now when you use chrome flakes, they are so fine, which makes them perfect for gel polish design. And it makes them super flat. So because they're flat, it's going to be a lot easier to top coat. So I'm going to add a shiny top coat. Same again with the length. And this angle of the brush is coming a lot flatter. And what I do like to do is I like to keep a top coat just for doing chrome, because you will find that you get a tiny bit of the chrome, whether it's chrome flakes or your normal sort of chrome. You'll find that you'll get, I don't know if you can see any in there, you probably can't at the minute, but I need to make sure I clean that before I go back into the bottle. But I do like to keep one top coat just for the chrome. So like with this one, I'm going to go at a different angle. So we start in the middle and we're going to come up this way. And we've got a sticky layer, so it's still sticking. So even with the base coat, it will work. You'll find a base coat will be more stickier than just the dispersion layer of a gel polish. So you'll get more chrome on there because you can see the actual lines of me brushing through the dispersion layer where you didn't see that on the sticky layer of the colour. Okay, so we're going to top coat that, and again I'm coming quite low with the brush, the angle is low, so we're gliding over the top. Clean my brush on my paper towel and bang it in the lamp. Okay, so now for the best bit. So I'm going to use some colours today. I like to remain, you know, I don't want to be brand specific basically. I will use lots of different brands. I don't mix monomer with a different brand though. So say I've got, we'll just shout out different names. So say we've got Neo Nails liquid. I'm not going to then use that with Brill Bird powders, or I'm not going to use Crystal Nails liquid with, you know, any other brand. I'm not going to mix the brands. So whatever acrylic you're using, keep with the liquid, because that's been designed to work with that powder. It's so tempting to just think, oh, well, I'll just have all these different colours and I'll just use one liquid. Don't get me wrong, I know it can work, but I really don't recommend it, because you'll have service breakdown. So you can, if you see these two nails now, I want to try to get them nice and close for you. So can you see how one has more chrome on than the other? So that's down to the dispersion layer of the base coat being heavier and the dispersion layer of the coloured gel polish is not as much. So that's the difference between the two, and I just thought that was interesting to show you. So let's work on the 3D flower, one of my favourite things to do. So the brush I'm going to use today is my Alicia brush. So the Alicia brush has a size 12 on one end and it's crimped. So it's great for every day, creating your acrylic nail extensions. And then we've got this gorgeous 3D brush, which is absolutely perfect for everything we want to do today. So it's double-ended, this brush is. And the beauty of having a double-ended brush is if you're creating, you know, extensions and you really need a little tiny brush to really neaten up that cuticle area, or you just need a tiny bead, you've got that there in your hand. You haven't got to keep changing brushes. So when I'm doing a 3D flower, and I want to try and keep everything as simple as I can, I want you to be able to recreate this. We're going to start and create some outer petals first. And I'm going to start with like a lavender colour. You see how it's quite dry. I don't want it to be too wet. And then it will start to polymerize. Can you see how that's starting to go a little bit shinier now? Just going to punch it in on the camera a little bit more for you. See how close we can really get. I'll try my best to stay in shot, because you know what I'm like, when I get carried away, I start coming out of shot. So we're going to make a, what I'd like to say is a croissant shape. Yeah. So in that croissant shape, we're going to point the very point of the brush towards the center, and then we start to press the acrylic out, keeping it thin towards the center, and we have definition towards the edge. So if I hold it like this, hopefully you can see how we have it slightly thicker here, and it's fine in the center. So that's really important. If you start to bulk out the center straight away, then you're going to end up with quite a, you know, unbalanced acrylic flower, because it will be heavy and thick in the middle, and we don't want that. And now I'm going to place a bead here, and we're going to let that start to polymerize a little bit. And if you think it's too dry, start to touch it with your brush. The monomer that's in the brush will actually start to feed into that bead. And when you're doing 3D flowers, you don't want to work wet. Working wet, you'll be chasing that bead everywhere. So we've made sure it's nice and thin in the middle. Look at the angles of the brush. So I'm pressing towards the center, and as you press, it moves the product back. So you need to be aware of that. And we're overlapping. So you see we're overlapping here. Pull it round. And you want them to look a little bit uneven. You don't want like this perfect round edge. It will look more realistic if it's slightly uneven. Let's get another bead. Place that there. See how we look quite dry? So I'm just going to touch, 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 touch. See how we feed a bit of liquid, but we're still in control. And now we're going to make this little croissant shape or half moon, just to open it out in the center. And then we're going to pat. Now start to pat from the center of that croissant and go to one side, and then I'll go to the other side, and you'll see that that moves. So you have to anticipate where that's going to move to, so you know you have enough room. We're going to overlap. Another bead. We're going to overlap again, and we start to creep into the center now. And I'm aware that when I open this out, it's going to move back. And I'm aware that when I start to press, it's also going to move back as well. So it's about that placement. Press, press, press. Delicately. It requires little pressure and little movement. And we're going to do one here to close this gap. So I know that when I press this, it's going to move back. So you can see why I placed it there. Let's open it out. You need a brush with a very fine point. It's really going to help you. And then I'm holding the brush a little bit higher because I'm coming towards the center. Still keeping it nice and thin in the middle and keeping the definition at the edges. Going to change the colour a little bit now. Now we're going in the middle, just to change it up a bit. Small bead. Now you see where these two cross over here? We've got like two petals sort of coming to the middle. we're going to make sure we overlap here, so the petal will come out and overlap in this gap. So again, you want to get the point of the brush in, open it out, and then we're going to pat, 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 centre to the edges. And then the last bead will close the rose. So you know that centre of the rose? That's what we're going to do now. So this one's slightly different. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to connect this to that previous petal. Okay? And then we're going to come round, bring that round here with the very tip of the brush to make a bit of a swirl. And then we're going to come really high with the brush now. So we're not flat, we're coming high and we're pressing out. Concentrating on keeping that little centre swirl. So this is just one flower, and you can do many, 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 many flowers. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some little leaves coming here and here to still draw the eye down. So we're going to make contact with that petal. And we're going to tease this into kind of a teardrop shape. So we're starting to look like a leaf. But we want to make this look even better, so we're going to crisp up those edges like this. And then I'm going to press just to get it nice and thin. And then I'm going to turn my brush on the side and I'm going to come through the centre to create a centre vine. And then we're going to press in at an angle to create those details with the brush. We have a little leaf. I'm going to do one here. Make contact. Knitting that up. And I'm going to pat, make it nice and thin. But it's still got definition. And I'm going to come through the centre, a little bit of pressure, not too much, with that very tip of the brush. So you can see how important the brush is now. So you've got to catch that acrylic just at the right time. If you wait too long, you're not going to be able to press it like that. So I'm going to do one more here, one more little leaf, smaller. And knitting that up. Going to make a little bit of contact here. And I'm turning my brush on the side because it's smaller. So I need to make my brush even smaller, so turning it on the side will help. Just press that out a little bit. Let's come through the centre. And let's add a little bit of detail. Lovely. And now we obviously need to add a little bit of bling, because, you know, it wouldn't be right if it didn't, because we all love a bit of bling. So I'm just going to grab some crystals. These crystals are from the nail boxes. So it's not the nail box, it's the nail boxes. So they're not Swarovski, but they're a great alternative. There's 7,000 crystals in this box, and they're only £90, which is brilliant. So I'm just going to get some crystals. Here we go. I like to put my crystals on with a base from a dipping system. So any kind of resin really will work and hold that nice. And I'm just going to get my palmy picker upper, which is wax tipped. It's replaceable. It's full of wax. It's not just coated. It's not like a cone that's coated. It's full wax. I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to drop where I want the resin to be, because that's where I'm going to put my stones. Okay. Obviously using a brush is going to be way too big. Let's grab some stones. That. Love it. So if I was doing this on a real person, I would always keep the flowers towards that end. If we start to put flowers down here, then you know that that client's going to start catching them. They've got less chance if they are in that back third, if they're towards the centre or the back third of the nail. So what time are we on? I think we've got time for lots of questions now. Don't you think, Amanda?
Yes, thank you so much, Kirsty. It was absolutely mesmerising watching that.
Try and give you like a really close shot of it there.
It's so beautiful, and I can't believe how quickly you've done that as well. It's amazing.
What I love about 3D, I love doing 3D flowers because they don't take that long.
Yeah, but we have had tons of questions for you, Kirsty, like absolutely loads. So I'm going to try and combine some of them. I think the main question that's come through is everybody's dying to know what size brush you were using and where they can get that from.
Okay, so this is the Alicia brush. It's a size 12 on this end, crimped. The Alicia, you can get the Kirsty Meakin Alicia brush, which is named after my daughter, from www.kirstymeakin.com. And it also has a size 2 3D brush on the end, so it's a small 3D brush. You find a lot of 3D brushes are maybe a little bit too big for what you want them for, but we developed it to perfection. It needed to be that small.
Yeah, and people were also asking as well what the colour, the purple was that you were using.
The purple that I was using is lavender, which is by Glitter Bound.
Amazing. And people also wanted to know what product you were using to stick the gems with as well.
So to stick the gems on with, this is, now if you in the UK, if you order Joy Maya, it will actually, let me put the camera so I can show you. It will cost you customs, but you know, yeah, that's entirely up to you. It's a base from a dipping system. So any kind of resin based product will do that. So any dipping system base will work really well because it gives you longer, that glue will dry really quickly. So, you know, you don't want that. And it won't hold it as strong or as long. So anything that's, you know, a resin base will be good.
Amazing. And there's been loads of questions as well about how you would cap that look off, whether it be a no wipe top coat over the flakes or what you'd do.
So I top coated this one with a no wipe top coat. So let me flip the camera again. So with you would, so you'd leave it like that. So if you have done it with the base coat, you're going to top coat it, yeah. So I top coated it with a no wipe top coat, yeah. That seals it in. It doesn't stay lumpy or bumpy or anything like that because it's so fine. Same with this, no wipe top coat. But once this is done on top, you do not need to put any top coat on this. You don't need to put any top coat on the flowers or on the stones or anything like that. It'll last really well. The best thing you can do to keep it clean is clean it with a toothbrush. You get your clients to make sure they keep it clean with a toothbrush because you tend to get, with 3D nail art, you tend to get like foundation and things like that stuck in the flower. But bit of toothbrush and it'll be good.
Yeah, and we also had a question as well about whether you could do a 3D flower with a 3D brush that's got a rounder edge.
Well, did you see what I was doing with that very fine point? I need that very fine point to actually be able to do everything that I did. So it would be a lot more difficult. You could probably do it, but you won't get that detail. So like with the leaves and everything like that, it will be a lot harder. You need that fine point.
And just going back to the resin, just because we had a couple of questions come through as you're talking about it, and people are asking, does the resin dry/set, or do you need to activate and cure it?
No, it dries on its own.
Cool. And lots of people are interested to know what do you use for your camera setup? I mean, we were talking about this, weren't we? We went live.
So when I'm looking here now, I'm looking directly into a Canon camera, yeah? When I look here, I'm looking at my laptop. So if you see me looking over here, I'm actually looking at Amanda. I'm trying to look here so everyone can see me talking to them. And then we've also got a camera up above as well that's on a mount. So it's actually on like a whole, I feel like it's a crane. It's not a crane. It's quite a heavy duty. It's got to hold like a really good camera. So it needs to be. We've got a ring light around both cameras. So we have a ring light around this one. Ring light around the top one as well. So once you've got it set up, it's good. But when it comes to me switching through, what device is that, Vanessa? So they're switching it through. Oh, that's an Adam question. Is that an Adam question? That's definitely an Adam question. Basically, Adam the cameraman sorted all that out because he's dead good at all that. Where the wires go, don't know what things are called. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, Vanessa knows where the wires go, but we don't know what it's called. It's some kind of switcher. So you switch between the two cameras, and that's what I was saying we do on our live Zoom classes. We do that so you know I can speak to everybody, and then they can also get a really good view of the nails as well.
Mm.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, it does. And we had another brush question. Lee said that her brush is split into two and it looks like a snake's tongue. How can she get it back into shape?
Right, it looks like a snake's tongue. The best thing you can do is never put your brush like into a pot where it sits like this. So there are dampened dishes that are out there that you can put, they're quite high, and lots of people just leave the brush in. That's going to cause flicking. And to get it go back, you want hot water. And I don't mean hot water out the tap. I mean water from the kettle. Get it in that water and reshape it. Keep reshaping it and reshaping it. And then get it dry. Make sure there's no water in the stock end of the brush. Make sure it's dry. Then go into your monomer, reshape it, put the lid on, leave it. It should reshape. If it's not got a cap, I always recommend brushes with lids on. Like having a brush without a lid on is just a no-no for me, because it's going to get contaminated with dust from the air and it'll dry out quicker, and more things will happen to it. It will get touched. So having a brush with a lid on is definitely recommended as well. So, and reshaping that brush into your monomer, but definitely the hot water trick works.
Amazing. And we've had a couple of questions as well about people asking how you would price up the design that you've just done. Do you have like a rule of thumb for anything like this?
So what I would always say to people is, when you're pricing up anything, I mean, this could be any service. So say it takes you an hour to do the service. How much an hour do you want to earn? So you've got your time. How much in product did it take? So if you're saying about, oh, gel polish will get 30 sets out of it or 20 sets out of it, you're sort of getting to know that. Then price up. So for an acrylic set, it could work between £2.50 to £5.50. So you want to put that on. And then if you're adding crystals, whether they're Swarovski crystals or they're, cheaper alternative, you need to add that on. So, but I think the main thing is how much money do you want to earn within that hour? How much is your time, your expertise? So an add-on like this flower, you could charge anything from £2 to £5 to add that on. But I do think it's important for everybody to price accordingly, especially when we go back to work now, make sure you're including the price of the PPE, your time to clean down that desk and get everything nice. To be fair, we pretty much did that anyway. If we weren't doing that, then, maybe this is giving you a kick up the backside, but you do need to allow that time. And that's still your time, still your working time. You're still actually working. You want to be paid for it.
Yeah. And Kirsty, we've had so many questions about what kind of training you're doing at the moment, whether you're doing online courses, whether you're doing one-to-one Zoom calls. I think people are just absolutely dying to know what kind of things you've got going on at the moment.
So our Zoom classes are on, you can get a link from the Kirsty Meakin website, but if you go to kirstymeakinacademy.com, you will find all the live Zoom online classes there. So like yesterday, we did one stroke. So we did one stroke. Have I got the nails? Okay. Let me just grab that. And then we've got coming up, we have the Russian almond nail, back to basics Russian almond nail. We've got, what else have we got, Vanessa? Hold on, I'm going to lay these out. Oh yeah, we've got these. We've got this lion head. So let me 3D acrylic flowers. So like today, I've sort of touched on, I've kept it as simple as I can, because I know that we're short of time. So you want quick things in the salon, yeah? So one stroke class we did yesterday, we went through all these different techniques from simple to more complex, and then we did the ruby rose. But this is one that we have got online at the minute as well, which is the lion head. So we go through all the gel polish designs, colour placement, keeping everything nice and sharp, because we've obviously got shape, we've got nude space, negative space in here as well, keeping that sharp. And this lion's head is actually made by hand.
Wow.
So, and if you can make something like this, you will make bees, you could make butterflies like this. It could be any kind of embellishment that would wow your clients. So yeah, so we've got that one on. We've got Back to Basic Blush and Almond. But yeah, if you head over to the Kirsty Meakin Academy.com page, then you will find all the details there. You get a certificate as well. There's lots of us online. It's really fun. We have, to be honest, the 2-hour classes, and if I'm honest, we always run over because we chat a lot and have a lot of fun. So
I've put that URL in the chat boxes because I know a few people are asking. So yeah, you can click direct to the website there. But Kirsty, that's all we've kind of got time for today. I just want to say that lion's head was amazing. Oh my God. But thank you so much for today. It's been amazing having you on, and people have really enjoyed watching you do the demo and stuff. For anybody who's asking, you can watch this back. It'll be on PB's Facebook and Instagram pages indefinitely, and we'll be popping it on YouTube too. So if you do want to go back and watch some of what Kirsty did, you can absolutely do that. But Kirsty, thank you so much. We've loved having you on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. And I think this is great, these little upskill things. I think absolutely brilliant. You get so many iconic people on here. I think it's amazing, and I'm looking forward to the next one with Marion Newman. So yeah.
Yes. We've got Marion Newman coming on in like 20 minutes. So if you do want to hear from another nail superstar, 20 minutes time, that's all you've got to wait. But thank you so much, Kirsty. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
In the future. See you later. Bye.
Bye.